Do you remember that time that Nintendo launched a popular product and then immediately ceased production? That's right, they've ceased production of the incredibly hard-to-find NES Classic, and I can't stop laughing. I should be mad at a company that made it very difficult to find a product that I absolutely wanted, but instead, I'm so beyond incredulous that I can't be mad. Nintendo has made possibly the most Nintendo-like move of all time in ceasing production of probably its best-received product since the original Wii. There are any number of reasons they could have done this. Perhaps they came across production issues they just couldn't easily overcome, and they figured the better answer rather than start over would be to scratch the product entirely and maybe try again later. Maybe there was a licensing deal with Tecmo, Konami, Square Enix, or some other third-party partner that was a major roadblock to producing the NES Classic. Quite frankly, there's no answer which makes the news any easier to swallow. For a company that has been selling products to customers for over 100 years, they have a shocking inability to measure supply and demand. Looking back to 2006 at the original Wii, we probably shouldn't be too surprised. Critics were shouting loudly that Nintendo was creating a false scarcity by holding back production of the Wii to keep the thing hard to find. This is a strategy that makes a lot of sense for maybe 2 months. Heck, maybe even 6 months if it's a product that you intend to sell for a good long while. At a certain point, however, you have to let the consumers who want to give you money for the thing that you made actually give you money for the thing that you made. 2 years was way too long for any sort of false scarcity argument to hold any water for the Wii. And that's about how long it took for the Wii to be back on shelves, about 2 years, without people having to track retail inventory and wait in line for hours before opening. And some might look at the sales struggles of Wii U and the later Animal Crossing amiibo and think that, well, Nintendo was overly conservative with the NES Classic. Can you blame them? But these are fundamentally different economic problems, and Nintendo knows that. With Amiibo, Nintendo had to balance production of dozens of different models, hoping they wouldn't overproduce Mario figures and underproduce Zero Suit Samus figures. Understandably, it's a tough challenge to meet, and in the end, they ended up doing okay. With Wii U, they were clearly overconfident, but the difference is Wii U is a platform. They sell games for that platform. NES Classic's not a platform, it's a toy that doesn't need to sell accessories or worry about attach rates or any of that nonsense. From the very beginning, people knew NES Classic was going to be a hit. It made mainstream news, and people who didn't even buy video games in 2017 were interested in buying this product. I know many of them. We knew it was going to be hard to find. I don't think anybody thought that in April 2017, 6 months after the release of the NES Classic, it would be a ghost. It's simply flabbergasting. At this point, we're stuck wondering a few things. 1. Does anyone at Nintendo actually earn a paycheck by estimating supply and demand? If so, how long have they had that job? They should be fired. 2. Will Nintendo relaunch NES Classic? It seems to me that licensing fees might have been part of the downfall. Maybe they should just drop all the third-party support for the NES Classic and relaunch the game with first-party Nintendo-published exclusives. May not be as appealing as including games like Castlevania and Tecmo Bowl and Final Fantasy, but it's better than nothing. 3. How is Nintendo going to market their back catalog if not through the NES Classic or the Switch Virtual Console? Right now, they're basically doing nothing with their archive library right now, and although they've promised that Switch Virtual Console will be coming, no one has any idea what form it's going to take. In the end, Nintendo will do what it wants, and no armchair marketing advice from me will change that. But this type of baffling decision-making is part of the reason I don't own a Switch yet. I have a really hard time trusting Nintendo right now, and while it may seem a little silly to tie this whole NES Classic thing to something as major as the next Nintendo console, I'm past the point in my life where I feel compelled to buy Nintendo hardware just because it's Nintendo hardware. They gave me the option to buy Zelda on the Wii U. I didn't need to buy a Switch for that. They need to try harder to get me to buy a Switch. And when they make baffling decisions like discontinuing a thing like NES Classic, which is quite frankly a sure bet, or the closest thing to a sure bet in 2017, they're not doing a very good job of building that trust.